gentlemen, we have a very special guest for you this hour, coming all the way from, I don't even know where, but they claim Shanghai. We actually have Pears, which is, I'm probably going to mispronounce this again, Xiao Zhong.
Xiao Zhong, yeah, close
Yes,
enough.
thank you. First of all, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
This punk outfit, by the way, I love the sound, but is it even legal to play music like that in China? Is it even legal to be that loud?
Yeah, China, I think it's got a bit of a bad reputation. I mean, it's probably not legal, but it's not illegal. Like, China operates in the grey area, and they'll keep it. It's okay, as long as we don't hurt anyone, it's okay. And once we start making too much noise or whatever, then they'll shut us down. But there's really no chance. We're really mild compared to some of like the other punk bands like in Wuhan or Beijing or who really go hard at certain organizations here. So we're okay. They don't care about us. Also, we speak in English and I'm a Westerner, so it's kind of even more of a grey area for them. So yeah, it's all good.
Now, actually, that brings me to a question of, like, what's the crowd like playing at a show? Like, when you go to a venue, is it mostly expats, or is it just a good mix, or what does the crowd look like?
It depends on the venue, really. I mean, right now there seems to be a bit of a resurgence in more Chinese people. When I first came here, it was mostly just foreigners coming out because it's more in tune with their lifestyle and their upbringing,
Yeah.
But more and more Chinese people are coming out. We played a show on Saturday for a live bar, which is out in the student district, but it was packed by 9 o'clock and mostly Chinese people, which is awesome. They're so much fun to play for. They're like way less jaded and not cynical, and there's no real hipsters, bumming people out with their not very good opinions, and so it's a lot more. It's really refreshing, especially coming from Melbourne, where people just stand with their arms crossed, the whole time. So,
that sounds awesome, actually. People who aren't jaded to the punk scene just enjoying music. That must be a real trip.
Well, I'm bringing the jadedness. Like I'm a bit jaded, so I'm slowly having bringing my dark cloud over. So much fun.
Speaking of venues, let me get something straight. You played in the pit rather than in the stage on a few shows that I've heard about, and you did a laser tag one. Are you trying to break your instruments or break the audience?
No, we're trying to not break our brains. To be honest, I mean, Shanghai, it's huge. It's like 22 million people. It's crazy big. But there's really only about 5 places to really play, and one of them's too big. One of them's out really far. One of them's just an awful hellhole.
Oh, wow.
That just can't get its brains together. It's really unorganized. So there's really maybe 1 or 2 live houses that really, really we can play at and have decent crowds, and we feel like we can do something there. But that creates a Groundhog Day effect, man. And I didn't play music to play the same venue every weekend to the same people, Yeah. So I'm like, we've got to do something. We've got to make this a bit more interesting. We've got to push ourselves a little bit, We didn't play in the laser tag place. That was our listen party, and it was an ego trip for me. I just wanted to hear my music while I was running around, and we invited a bunch of people. Whoever wanted to come could come, and it was good because they had a great time and they were smiling, and I was hoping they were listening to the music, but they weren't. But they still associated that good time with the music, so it was a bit of a trick.
That sounds
good.
Like the
awesome.
Best listening party I have ever heard of. I am not joking. On the other note, actually, just congratulations for thinking outside the box on just venue-wise. I can completely feel for you on the Groundhog Day effect. Stuck in a Mobius strip of time. Just constantly doing
do you have that where you are? Do you have that?
I have that doing what I do. I'm locked in what I call the isolation tank. They just stick me in here. They won't let me out, and my producer swears at me on the other side of a soundproof glass. So this is pretty much my Mobius loop. But that is the best listening party idea I have ever had. It would only be toppable by doing something like paintball, where you could actually hurt people while you're listening to your music.
I'm really afraid of paintball. I always see people paintball was awesome, and they show you that mark, and it's like that brutal mark, on their leg or their arm. That really can't be fun. It would be terrifying.
It's not that bad. It's bad if they shoot you right up close, like my friends have.
Oh, nice. I did do a laser tag in up north in Tianjin, just out of Beijing, and these 2 Chinese guys, they brought bibs.
Really?
So they covered up their front and their backs, right?
Yeah.
So you couldn't get them. You just couldn't get them. Like at the place, they clamp like little electronic clamps to your wrists.
Oh yeah.
And when you get shot, you get an electric shock.
Oh
And
wow.
it was terrifying because you see them coming and you shoot them and there's nothing, and they just walk slowly, man. And you're like, oh, and we all huddled in the corner, you know, like, trying to be quiet. And they just they came around and they saw us and they just shot us, and we on the floor getting shocked, and we're trying to shoot back and there's nothing we can do. It was one of the terrifying moments I've ever.
That's like a childhood nightmare come true.
It was awful. It was not fun.
Oh my goodness, I can imagine. Now, okay, I got a question for you as well. This comes from my producer. The tags on your Bandcamp page are kind of disparaging. They say things like awful and alternate. Now, I the awful part I take with humor. Alternative, that's just insulting yourself.
Oh man, I don't mind to insult myself, and we've got to do it before other people do it. Yeah, we're very self-effacing, and we're very self-aware, I think. We're not the best band in the world. I mean, F, the guitarist, who's amazing, and one of the only few people I can connect with here, ideas-wise, and risk-taking-wise. She could play guitar before parents. Like, she literally could only play 2 chords, and so we just had songs with the same chords. And
wow.
Every new song was like a new chord that I was teaching her, you know? And I was like, oh, this song's a C. Here's how you play C. And then we just make a song around C.
Nice.
You know, the first album, there's 7 tracks. They're all just different chords. Like they're just chord shapes, you know, and practicing that, you know. But yeah, she went from picking up her first guitar, and 6 months later playing Modern Sky Festival in Beijing. It was amazing. But you know, we do make a lot of mistakes. We break a lot of strings. You know, we don't bother properly to get the amp sounding right, and you know, we can suffer because of that. And sometimes we're really not good, you know, and it's fine to say that, you know. I think bands try and sell themselves too hard during on press releases, and you probably read them all day, man. It just sucks, you know. It's boring.
Absolutely. I was just saying, don't insult yourself with alternative. That's just too much. You guys are good, even as many mistakes as you make. Alternative, you don't deserve that. You're too good for that.
Yeah, but like when you have like they're like, please define your music, and it's like they only give you like 6 you know, boxes or whatever, and it's like world music, rap, pop, alternative. You know, it's like, well, what are we? It's like, well, we're closer to alternative than we are to rap. You know.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Well, actually, I have a question for you. Now that you mentioned about, you know, tuning amps and breaking strings, we're listening to the recording. There's a debate going on between my producer and I about about whether or not, like, did you put in a bass line within the recording for Summer Sweat?
There's no bass whatsoever.
Then I was right. I actually told him I couldn't hear a bass, but that leads me to another question. How do you keep from cutting off the low-end frequencies? Because that's a big problem with a lot of punk bands, is on the guitars, they cut off the low end.
We still have that problem occasionally, you know. Right now, we're trying to figure that. We put my tuner pedal at the end of the chain, and we have two leads going out. One goes to a guitar amp, one goes to a bass amp. It doesn't help that much. It's okay. We double amp. Also, like, we just started using my loop pedal. So like during heavier parts, we'll put that on, and it will like just give us like kind of like sounds like there's 2 guitars. Other times, man, it's just like I keep very forward to the floor kind of bass, you know, things, and that's kind of like the kick on the kick drum. So that's kind of where a lot of the bass comes from. You know, it's just very simple, you know, repetitive doom, 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 doom.
I see.
And that hopefully masks it a little bit.
Good on you, and actually I'm sure our audience, the musicians out there, will appreciate that. Now, I actually have a question about your new album. I mean, how is it going to be different from Summer Sweat? Are you taking a different change in direction for music? And also, is it going to be free like Summer Sweat was?
Good, real good questions, man. Okay, so bit of a story. We recorded, after Summer Sweat, we released that like September. We recorded an 8-track album in November. But it's taken so long to get the mixes back that we haven't done much with it, you know. So we were just waiting for that to come back. And then Sean from Metal Postcard was like, I want you to do a double vinyl. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. That's stupid. I can't be bothered. And then he's like, no, listen, I'll pay for everything. Wow. Just shut up and do it. And I was like, God damn it. So we took like I mean, I push myself, and generally I write the majority of the songs. So he wanted 25 songs.
Whoa.
We got to 17. And what we did, we just made songs a bit longer, you know, like there's parts where you can just tell we're just making the same part longer, you know. We're geniuses. But yeah, so we recorded it with French Italian DJs actually in like a bomb shelter in Shanghai. They were pushing. They were like, "We'll record with you," and I don't like the electronic scene. You know, I don't care about it. So I kind of pushed them away a little bit. But then eventually, I was like, "Hey, actually, you guys keep coming at me with enthusiasm and energy, and those two things, you know, are the best things in music. You know, that eventually wrung right out of you, I guess."
Yeah.
So I was like, let's do this. And it was honestly one of the most rewarding things ever. We just did days, you know, music in one day, 17 songs, just bam, 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 all pretty much one takes.
Oh, wow.
And then we did vocals next day. But different wise, like there's a few songs where it's just guitar and vocals. There's one song where F plays drums and I play guitar, for better or worse.
Oh,
we were
brilliant.
really scraping the bottom of the barrel ideas-wise. I've sent it to friends, and they say, and I agree, it's probably our best lyrically. Like, I actually sat down and not only wrote lyrics, but I remembered them. You know, usually I forget them. So now I can actually sing them again, you know? So, yeah. I'd say it's more about lyrics, this album, you know?
I have to say, Xiao Zhong, you have been a riot. Absolute riot. It is a sincere pleasure. You're probably the most, like you said, enthusiasm and that positive energy does trump everything. That's just a riot. Now, how did you get, okay, let me get this straight though. How did you get, you are Australian, are based in Shanghai, and getting this now mastered in the UK. Are you trying to be Bond? Like, how did this get so international of an endeavor?
Actually, because Shanghai, it's an international city, you know? It's a very transient place. And if you see a foreigner, they're probably not from my hometown just out of Melbourne in Australia. So, like, you just meet people who kind of, I don't know, are from different parts of the world. And sometimes that's awful. Sometimes that's god-awful.
Yes.
But sometimes it's amazing. And luckily we met Sean from Metal Postcard, and he is very, very, he grew up in Australia and he grew up in the UK. But now lives in Hong Kong. So he just has connections all over the place. I don't know who's mastering it. I don't know how much they're paying. I don't know if it's going to be a good job. I don't know if it's going to be awful, but I know it's getting done. I'm pretty sure it's getting done. So, yeah, I mean, we've never, ever been accused of trying to be James Bond. But I will put that on our bio. Thanks, man.
Oh, thank you for joining us. You have made a fan of me, sincerely. I mean that. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, make sure to check them out online. You can still find their Bandcamp page. This is, of course, Pears. So, thank you again, Xiao, for joining us.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me. I forgot to answer. Sorry. I really forgot to answer. Sorry for all the time limit. The album probably won't be free on Bandcamp.
Oh, okay.
That was part of the deal because Sean Metal started paying for everything. Probably won't be free. So
Okay.
he just said Bandcamp, and I thought of that.
Fair enough,
We'll
actually.
make it
Fair enough.
as cheap as we can. But we won't get any money, so it's as cheap as we can. You know?
Well, I hope you get a little bit. Just some love, anyway. So, anyway, thank you for joining us, and I hope to hear from you again soon. If you have new music, you can always send it our way.
I definitely will, man. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. It's great.
Right. Everybody else, we are going into some music right now.